Hey, what's up, Exit the Matrix family? Bob here. Hope all is well with you and yours. Hey guys, today I wanted to delve into the same subject that we did yesterday, and that was, who controls the world. And if you listen to that video, then you'll know where I'm going with this. If you didn't, you need to go check it out, because this is all simple, folks. To understand who rules this realm from behind the shadows, all we got to do is look at the beginning of man and our progenitors. And then you'll understand what's really going on and what this is all about. There's always been a misconception that the Bible is talking about the creator of all. It's not. Not at all. And like I've said many times, the Bible is a adaptation off of many ancient stories, mostly though off the cuneiform tablets. And also you got a mix of Egyptian, Greek, Sol Invictus worship, Mithraism, and Zoroastrianism mixed in with the Old and New Testament teachings. I know this offends a lot of people, but it's because they haven't read these other sources. When you read these other sources, you realize the truth of what I'm saying here. When you stand on a pedestal and say, no, the Holy Bible is the only truth, then there is no other truth. Well, folks, the Holy Bible wasn't written, Old and New Testament, until about 400 BC, 500 BC, as the earliest books, the book of Job, forward till the final New Testament books. And that goes to all about 300, 400 AD. Even a lot of the Old Testament was being still written AD. So, folks, that is not the original source. I'm not discounting the Bible as having merit and teaching and understanding and some truth. However, I'm saying it's not ultimate truth, folks. It's not the source of the beginning. It's not even close. I mean, the Sumerian and Akkadian cuneiform, they're thousands of years older than the Bible. The Hindu Vedic text, the Sanskrit, is thousands of years older than the Bible. The Egyptian hieroglyphics writings are thousands of years older than the Bible. I'm just being honest, folks. And if that makes you mad, I'm sorry. That this information's probably not for you, because part of the Matrix is the pillar of religion. Religion was set up from the beginning to be a way to indoctrinate and program mankind, and to keep mankind in line, to put mankind in a fear matrix. And it was used by the rulers of this realm. And that's who we're talking about. And that's who the cuneiform talks about. In explicit detail, in fact, folks. But if you don't read those tablets, if you don't read any of the other, like the Hindu Vedic texts, like the Mahabharata, or the, the other one's just eluding my mind right now. Oh, the Bhagavad Gita. If you're not reading any of these ancient texts, then you have no clue what I'm talking about, and you think it's heresy. But that's because you just lack information. And it's because you've been programmed over and over your whole life to believe that the Holy Bible is the only truth. But the Holy Bible's not even the source. So if you're looking for the truth, folks, you got to dig deeper and go back further. You got to do the research yourself. Because if you think I'm lying about this, and you still stand on your pedestal that the Bible is the only truth, then you're never going to get it. The only way you'll ever get it is if you read the stuff yourself. Then come back to me and tell me that the Bible's not a copy or an adaptation off of these much older sources. I mean, Noah, for instance, the Great Flood, Noah's Ark, all of that's in the Sumerian cuneiform tablets. One of the main ones being the Atrahasis. That explains the creation, the Genesis story, and the biblical flood. You can look at the Epic of Gilgamesh. He even goes and meets up with Noah at the end of the Epic of Gilgamesh. And at that point, Noah was made an immortal. And there's a lot of backstory behind that. Let's just say that Gilgamesh understood that Noah was a certain kind of kin. But he searched out Noah to find the way to immortality. So folks, these stories, they're much older than you've been told, and they're sourced from older documents or tablets than what your pastors told you. If you cannot grasp these things and you cannot make sense of this, and you have a very small box of understanding of this stuff, then you're never going to get it. Then you're going to stand on this heaven and hell and Lucifer controlled world and all this stuff. Was Lucifer in the Sumerian tablets? Yeah, yes, he was. However, Lucifer was not what you think he was. I'm not saying he's a good guy. He was a despicable guy. His name was Marduk. He was one of the sons of Enki. He was of the serpent clan. However, he was not this lead right hand of God, messenger or the highest cherub and all this such. Don't you understand the Hebrew scholars, or the Judean scholars, I guess, the tribe of Judah and the Levites, they had access to the Sumerian cuneiform tablets when they were held captive in Babylon. They were reading all of these ancient tablets. They were making their own God off of these multiple gods in these tablets. They essentially, Yahweh was a combination of Enki and Enlil. It's interesting, though, that throughout the Old Testament, it has these titles for God. Folks, those are all not the singular God. These are titles for the different Anunnaki, the different Anuna. When they say El Elyon, the Most High, El Elyon is Anu. Anu was the Most High. He's called the Most High. He was the Lord of Heaven. According to the cuneiform, he was the father of Enlil and Enki. He was the ruler of the Anunnaki. You could call him the king. And his wife, his consort, was Ki. And Ki means earth. Anunnaki. From heaven to earth they came. It's all encoded, folks. These were not metaphysical beings in my estimation. Possibly they could be. We can make arguments about that. That maybe they are able to bend space and time, or they're able to travel dimensions, which would, I guess, make them interdimensional. But are they like spiritual beings? Well, we all are spiritual beings. However, they had flesh avatars just like we do. They had to get up in the morning and put on their underwear and put on their pants one leg at a time. Just like we do, folks. When you read about the Watchers in the book of Enoch, it parallels the cuneiform tablets. It talks about how the Watchers taught humanity all the tools to build civilization. They taught humanity warfare, even makeup, how to beautify themselves, how to wear fashionable clothes, how to be more alluring, and what's the word I'm trying to say here? Just anyways, essentially beautifying themselves. And this was women. And these Anunnaki were teaching humankind their culture. Don't you understand why the gods of old, of all the old mythologies, the gods always act like humans? They're lustful, they're hateful, they're vengeful, they're jealous, they're loving, they're kind. They're mean. They're evil. They're good. They're warlike. They're peace-like. Don't you get it, folks? We are them. They are us. We are part of them. Whether you like it or not, we are the children of the Anunnaki. We are their hybridized children. Now, they did not create hominids from scratch. They hybridized the hominids that were already present on Earth at the time. And like I've said this many times, folks, this is where science and mythology meet. We know by science that there were many different types of humanoids walking the Earth at different time periods. Cro-Magnon man, Neanderthals, Denisovan. I mean, I could go on and on, but we're not going to waste our time with it. But you get the point, right? There were hominids on the Earth for millions of years, folks. The Anunnaki showed up around 200 to 300,000 years ago to Earth. From heaven to Earth. Folks, you got to understand, in ancient times, they called the heavens space. Now, what is the reality of space? I don't know completely myself, folks. I don't know. We're not being told the truth. We know that for sure. However, ancient man, looked up at the stars, the night sky, and they believed that the stars represented gods. And that's what they called heaven. They were not talking about some fluffy cloud place that you go to when you die, where God is sitting on a throne with the book of judgment in his right hand, and cherubs blowing horns and instruments all around him, and people worshiping 24/7 at his feet, saying, "Holy, holy, holy." Folks, that is ridiculous. Think about this. I'm not trying to put down your beliefs. I'm just trying to get you to see with a little bit of reason, a little bit of intellect. I'm not saying anything about not having faith, folks. I believe in a source of all creation, the creator of all. But you've got to understand, this creator of all, this source, is much bigger than a deity. It is creation itself. It's the all. It's in all of us. It's in all creation. It's a force. It's an energy. It is not a deity, folks. Don't you get this? This God, Yahweh, strolling through the Garden of Eden is not the creator of all. It's quite obvious. And it's also obvious if you look at the Genesis story at the very beginning, that the earth was destroyed at one point, and it had to be terraformed. However, these Anunnaki, they may have had a hand in this terraforming and this hybridization of humankind. However, they are not the creators of all either. I'm not saying this, just please understand this. When I say gods, I mean little g gods. And if you really want to know the truth of everything, folks, the biggest secret kept from man is that we are all immortal spirits inhabiting human vessels. We are all immortal. Please understand this, folks. When you die, you just transition to a different realm. You do not actually die. Your spirit doesn't die. And you come to Earth in many different avatars. You call that reincarnation. That's fine. And a lot of you are going to say there's no such thing as reincarnation. You have a one-way ticket to Earth. And if you don't do good by God, you go to hell. Or if you do good, you go to heaven. It's ridiculous, folks. Come on now. You really think a loving God's going to give you one shot? I mean, it's not like God is walking amongst us teaching us, right? Oh, of course, I get it. Yeshua, right? Well, of course Yeshua was the Son of God and the Son of Man. We all are, folks. Don't you think that's ridiculous that you say he's the only begotten Son? But what the fuck do you think you are? You're a son or daughter of God too? You're a creation of God. So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cuss, folks. I can't understand the disconnect from people. And what did Jesus teach? Yeshua. He taught, don't you know the kingdom of heaven is within? Folks, he was trying to teach you, we are all fractals of source. We all have the light, the energy of source within us. The spirit of source. We are all fractals of the Creator. And he was even saying, don't you know that you can cast out demons, that you can heal as I, that you could move mountains, you can do even greater than I. He was our brother, folks, and you don't listen to him. He was trying to teach us. Instead, you deified him. And you tried to make him your scapegoat. Don't you get this? Your sacrifice. Because you don't want to come into your own power. You don't want to understand what you are. You want to believe that you're an animal. A dumb sheep. And there's another major point I want to make here, folks. Going back to the Babylon thing here with the Levites and the Judeans. There's also another very important book that they took from the Babylonians too, that they hold as highly esteemed as the Torah. And that would be the Talmud. And I'm not going to go into that because I'll get censored, I'll get this and that, and you know how this is nowadays, folks. There is no freedom of speech anymore. Look up the Talmud, you read it. I'm not going to tell you what's in it because, like I said, that's censored information. But you look it up. The Babylonian Talmud is to this day as highly esteemed and followed as the Torah is by the Judeans. Just look it up. It's not hard. You can read, do some research. And let me know how wonderful those brothers and sisters are that you champion, that you've been fooled your whole life to believe that are these chosen ones. Folks, the only chosen ones in this realm are the royal bloodline of the Anunnaki, the royal bloodline of the Anuna that have been ruling since they came to this realm. And their bloodlines were intermixed with humanity. Now, we all hold their DNA because that was part of the hybridization of the human avatar. However, later on, they came down and they mated with these human women also. And men, folks, and men. Read the stories about Inanna Ishtar. She had children with humans also. Ninmah, Ninhursag, her name also is. She was one of the gods with Enki, one of the Anuna that created the Adam prototype, the Adam avatar. She carried Adam in her womb. She was a womb mother. Think of Hathor and the womb mothers, the Egyptian goddesses. Same thing, folks. It's all there. However, later on, these gods found a liking to these human women. They were beautiful. I'm not saying the Anunnaki women weren't beautiful. They absolutely, I mean, from all the descriptions of Inanna Ishtar, she was one of the most beautiful humanoids on Earth. And I call her humanoid because they were not humans. We're humans. However, we contain their DNA. But for some reason, when the Anunnaki mated with these human women, it caused these altered beings, these mutations or something. And that's where you get the elongated skulls. That's where you get these giants and such, these demigods like Gilgamesh, King Og of Bashan. These characters were all hybrids, folks, of these gods. So the only bloodlines that matter in this realm to these beings are those royal bloodlines of the Anunnaki, of the Enkyites and the Enlilites, of the serpents and the eagles. Those are their standards of those two families. Sometimes the Enlilites are also portrayed also as the griffin Or as the, what's the bird that dies in flames and rebirths? That's also a symbol for the Enlilites. And of course, the Enkyites were the feathered serpents and the dragons. Okay, folks? This is all encoded in our ancient history. I'm trying to simplify this as much as possible, but I want you to go read these things. You go read them, and you come back and tell me that I'm full of it. You go read them. Go read the Atrahasis. It's not that hard, folks. You can literally read it in like an hour. You can listen to an audiobook of it. Listen to it in your car when you're going to work each day. Absorb it and listen to it. And then you'll see all the same stories are there. From the Bible. Not from the Bible was from them. That's the key, folks. Now, their bloodlines still rule this realm, and they're in a civil war, and you can see that manifesting between humanity. It's always been this way, folks. They have always used humans as their pawns on the battle board, on the chessboard. Why do you think the Masons always portray a checkerboard floor on all of their paintings, in all of their lodges? Folks, they're telling you it's a chess game. It's a game. And we're the pawns. Don't you get it? It's simple, folks. It's simple. This knowledge has been passed down through the mystery schools for thousands of years. However, this information was kept from the basic public, from the peasants, from the workforce, from the slaves. And it is to this day. And we've become burdensome and troublesome to them. They're worried because they understand when we realize that we are part of God, that we are co-creators, and that we can manipulate the quantum field. They know that we can become greater than they, more powerful than they. And they even allude to this in the Sumerian tablets, folks. They say this. This is why we're seeing going on what is going on. Because they have to cull the animal population, if you can read between the lines there. This is why they want to transition us into transhumanism. It's not to upgrade us and make us bionic super people. No, it's to control us. It's to enslave the soul. It's to make it so that we can never rebel against them ever again. Folks, this is why this is so critical. Please. This is very important, folks. You got to wake up. You've been programmed to believe that all you got to do is just sit on your behind and do nothing. And just wait for the Savior to come save you. Just like you allowed that person to be the scapegoat for your sins. All you've done, folks, is disempowered yourself. Why do you think the Old Testament told you not to do divination and not to basically do any kind of psychic abilities or to work on those, to increase them? There's a reason for that, folks, because once you start becoming, your third eye is awakened and you become aware and you understand how to meditate properly and you can understand how to do OBEs, out-of-body experiences and such, astral travel, you see this realm for what it is. You see the truth. And we had teachers, ancient teachers, that happened to them. You could say Buddha, some of the top yogis and such, and possibly characters like Muhammad and Yeshua, that they possibly could have done out-of-body experiences, maybe through training and through teaching, through meditation. Or they could have had a near-death experience and came back. And they tried to teach us what they saw and what they were taught on the other side. But to the ancient man, it was hard to comprehend what they were talking about. So they turned their teachings into religions. And then, like the game Telephone, those teachings were muddled in the end. And then you had powers like Constantine that got a hold of these religions, and they turned them into a weapon against people. Instead of an enlightenment tool, they were turned into an enslavement tool. Enslavement of the mind. Folks, we've got to wake up. We've all been lied to. You've been lied to. I'm not saying that your pastor is purposely lying to you. Your pastor doesn't know. Your pastor's been... You got to understand, the World Council of Churches, they dictate to every church what they teach. Any church that is the tax exempt, any tax exempt church is begotten to the World Council of Churches, to their direction. They get their marching orders of what to teach. And I guarantee you, folks, they ain't telling you what I'm telling you. They're not telling you to go study these other ancient texts. They demonize that and say that that's the work of the devil. Folks, what would the devil do to trick everybody? He would become these religions. He would move you away from the root of all this information. He would try to destroy these tablets, hide them, destroy these ancient teachings, like the Gnostic teachings. He would not want you to find enlightenment. He would want you to be a dumb, lazy sheep that just does what you're told to do, and that just believes that, I just have to go sit in church and give some of my money tithe to Pastor Dan every weekend, and I'm saved. He wants you to believe that, folks. Don't you get it? I mean, if we're really going to talk about this whole devil thing, let's be real about this. He wants you to accept transhumanism. He wants you to be disempowered. He wants you not to understand that you are a fractal of the true creator of all. He wants you to think that you're just a poor, lowly, sinning soul and you deserve to go to hell. Or if you're a good little boy and girl and you follow everything he tells you to do, then you go to heaven. Folks, I'm sorry that I sound condescending here. I don't know how to wake people up. It's hard. I don't understand. I think sometimes why I have a mind that I have. And then I realize it's because from the time I was young, folks, I never settled for the BS they feed us. I've always known deep in my soul that there's more to this story than has been told. And the first time that I actually stepped outside of the box and I started researching these other ancient texts. Now, I want you to understand, folks, when I started doing this, it was just so that I could understand the lies outside of the Bible, okay? I wanted to see how the devil worked in all these other ancient religions and stuff, because that's what I believe, just like many of you do. That's what your church wants you to believe. I thought, oh my God, I'm only doing this just so I know what the devil's about and how they play this game. And then I started realizing as I read these ancient tablets and such, these ancient sources, that wow, there's a reason all this information was hidden. Like the book of Enoch. Why was it not in the Bible? You realize, right? It was in the original Bible. It was in the Coptic Bible. It was in the Ethiopian Bible. Wow. What about all these Apocrypha books? Wow. What about the Dead Sea Scrolls? What about the Nag Hammadi, the Gnostic teachings? Wow. All of these, wow. So many books. But yet we're told that the Holy Bible is God's word, and that's the only word, and that anything taken from or added to is false. Well, folks, what do you think the Bible is? It's been translated thousands of times. It's been, there's so many versions of the Bible, folks. So I guess every single person's going to hell for changing one little jot out of the Bible, right? Well, it's been 1,000,000 jots have been changed in the Bible. I don't know how to get this to make sense to people sometimes. I know some of you get this. I do. I get actually some great support from people. And there needs to be more of us, folks, because Everybody's deceived. Everybody. The left is deceived. They find government to be their God. They find science to be their God. They don't understand the powers who control government and who are pushing these sciences on us, you know. Um, these technologies meant to enslave us, right? And they'll accept it just like they accepted the other, um, you know, special magic potions, if you get my meaning there. And they're paying the price for it, and they will ultimately, because that's all part of that coaling I was talking about. And they've done it before to us, folks. They've done this multiple times. The flood was one such time. So we've got to wake up, folks. We've got to wake up. What I would tell you is go within. Go within and find that connection to source. Talk to God yourself. Don't rely on other people to tell you what to pray. Go find that connection to God yourself. And you ask him about these things. You ask him to enlighten you, to give you direction. And if he tells you that yes, you need to go after this other information and you need to go research it, then I'd say go do it. Instead of don't listen to me, then I get it. I'm just a guy. I'm a regular guy, folks. I'm not some scholar. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a professor. I'm not an archaeologist. Look, folks, I just read. That's it. I read and study and research, and I listen all the time. I'm always absorbing information, and I just connect the dots, because once you start digging into all these things, you realize they're all connected. That's all I want. I just want you to research. That's it. I don't want you to have to think like I do. It'd be lovely if you could see things how I do, because I think I'm breaking the code of the Matrix. I think I'm seeing through the Matrix. And I'm not saying that like I'm acting like I'm better than anybody. It's only because I put in the work and the research. And I didn't listen to the BS of humanity. What I would tell you, folks, is wherever the herd goes, go the opposite way. Because the herd is being herded. Don't you get it? The sheep are being herded. So if you go the opposite direction, you're actually probably going in the right direction, because most of humanity are like the ones asleep in the Matrix in the movie. They don't know that they're asleep. They think it's reality. They don't understand that they're living in the false Matrix. And that's where we find ourselves, folks. So I would love to keep going more and further into this, folks, and we'll pick up here. And I realize some of you that have been listening to me for a while are going to say, you keep saying the same things over and over again. Folks, to a degree, yes, because I'm trying to get new people, new listeners to look at this stuff. Some of you are already on this path. You're already reading the Atrahasis, the Enuma Elish, the Nag Hammadi, the Mahabharata, the Bhagavad Gita. You're already reading some of these ancient texts, and you're starting to come to the same conclusions I am. Because you see the truth for what it is, folks. The truth shall set you free. Don't you understand? Not sitting in a pew every weekend with one verse Charlie Dan, that just sits there and, talks about how, we're going to go read Galatians, 2.5 to 2.9, and I'm going to tell you what this is about and how it helped me and blah, blah, blah. Do you ever hear him actually teach you anything real? No. Just a little bit of milk of the word. That's all you get in most churches, because they are following a script. It's theater, folks. It's theater. Back in the ancient times, the Greeks and Romans, their teachings on the gods would be done in the auditoriums, in their big outdoor auditoriums and such, and they called it theater, and they would do theater plays to teach about the gods. What do you think your pastor's doing when he's standing up there on the stage and he does his few little teachings about the word, and then they're dancing around singing and having freaking like bands play and all that. It's all theater, folks. It's theater. It's just like a movie, damn it. That's all it is. That's all it is. So anyways, hey, I appreciate you guys, and we'll continue this another time. Have a great day.